Good morning, ladies and gents. Today, I have no idea what I'm doing. I kind of sat down and said, yeah, I did some cool stuff last night. Those of you who missed it, I'll be uploading it to YouTube soon. But yeah, I don't really have, like, much in the way of, a plan for today. Okay, well, that text just told me something I didn't really want to hear. Specifically that I need to be done with this stream a little earlier than usual as well. Happens, I guess. I'm going to look around for deficiencies for a moment. Kind of spend some time talking about user interface and user experience. And all of that in terms of how we might kind of clean up and make this more useful so that a player doesn't feel like they're lost. One thing I'm noticing already, no UI whatsoever down here. None. So I'm kind of tempted to say that's one thing that should go on our list. And I'm going to make a little list on this pad of paper that I've been using for my story notes. Let's see here. Do I even have a pencil? I have a pen. Pens are good enough. Because honestly, if I see it and I say, hey, I might need to do that, I probably need to do it. So, first thing on the list. Party, I guess... I'll call these the traveling UI. And I call it that because we have the party in a traveling mode right now. Anyway, so we've got the ability to walk around. Okay. I feel like I should double check all my UI here in inventory as well. The inventory looks pretty good, and I like the fact that everything here, some of it we have to clean up inventory UI. Specifically this, like, equip doesn't seem to really do much, right? If I have it out here, I hit equip, it doesn't actually do anything. So the equip context menu needs to be cleaned up. And I'm not going for something that looks like a final pass, but I'm looking for things that would confuse or distract a player and make it difficult to handle the game. And because today is unfortunately so short when it comes to streams, I can't really dive into something larger like I was hoping to, like character creation would honestly be one of the big things I want to dive into. And I'm actually still kind of tempted to start on it, but I think I'm going to hold off. As tempting as it is, I want to make sure that I have enough time to properly get started and that I have a little bit of a plan, because honestly, character creation is a big thing. It's a lot of UI to be handling, and I really want the stuff that I work on to not have any trouble. I need that to be pretty solid in terms of UI. So I need to think about that a little bit more before I start my implementation. So we've got stats. Stats page is empty, so character stats could definitely use... Character stats UI could use some work. And by some work, I mean any work whatsoever. And spells for characters without spells. Because he shouldn't have any. So he shouldn't even have this tab. It just shouldn't exist. So that's a good couple things to quickly note, and some of them should be easy to take care of. Let's think about this. Also, I can't help but notice that the warrior and rogue have mana bars again when they really shouldn't. Ooh, also the unlimited mana issue. I need to add mana costs to spells. And I say mana, I don't mean it. So, that definitely is a good start. Sorry. I realized I haven't eaten my breakfast. Probably should before it gets too terribly soggy. Cocoa Puffs, Breakfast of Champions, you know, that kind of thing. Okay, so if we look inside our character window class, and I really should start to clean up, excuse me, my scripts folders, because the scripts folder it just looks like a mess right now. I mean, it's just a ton of kind of unassociated scripts that have very little to do with each other right now, and I would really appreciate having that cleaned up for myself, if only so I can find things a little easier. Morning, Lemony Fresh and Bonkin. Hey guys, how's it going? Right, okay, so character window. Character window. You click on it, and we need to do two things to clean it up a little bit. One is, if the character has text of any kind, then we need to, or not text, sorry, spells of any kind. So if you don't have any spells, we probably want to hide the spell tab, because it's kind of meaningless and it looks a little silly having it hang around, and then to have this extra page that's completely blank, it looks like something's wrong with the game, and that shouldn't be the case. So I just need to find where I put that prefab. Here it is, character window. I am so bad at finding things in alphabetical order today, apparently. Okay, so we want to get rid of two things, the tab, and we want to get rid of the actual spell page. Now, the spell page is by default turned off, so that's not a huge issue. And in fact, one thing I want to mention is that, whatever. So really, it's just the spell tab. Everything else, I don't care a ton. So if you have no spells, we should say, no, not inventory. What am I thinking? Transform, find child, background, / spell tab. One word, two words, one word, two words. Okay, cool. Game object, set active, false. Cool. So this should allow us, or not allow us, this should hide it from us. Did I compete in the Ludum Dare? I did not this year. Too many other things going on. This is what I get for, working at a startup, unfortunately, is that when things get a little crazy around the holidays, we're trying to get a final push before the kids go off to winter break. And so, because of that poor timing on our part, it means that I don't have the brain power left to really pull off something like a Ludum Dare. Those really require programmers to be kind of on their game. And I, as much as I would have loved to, it's just a little too much. It would have been that, kind of, that little bit too much, and I have a feeling that the game would have just been terrible. I am going to do Global Game Jam. I definitely am looking forwards to that. I have a couple ideas already of what I might want to look into. Part of me wants to try a Twitch-styled game where any viewer is a character in the game. And then, the character takes commands from Twitch, at which point Twitch chat can kind of play the game and you guys can see what's happening on the screen with a little bit of lag, unfortunately. So that's one idea. The other, I'm going to keep to myself for now because I'm still puzzling through it. But I had two ideas so far, and we'll see if more come up once the theme gets announced. Alright, so let's get rid of those mana bars as well, because it seems kind of silly to have that mana bar floating around when it doesn't really serve a purpose right now. That, though, is going to be a little more difficult, because one thing I want to make sure is that each of the characters they have no kind of overlaying script that controls it. So I think I just have to go through character by character and handle it in the party. Not the end of the world, just kind of a weird place to have to take care of the logic because there's no owner of that piece of UI. There's no strict ownership anywhere. That sounds awesome, Nostrum. You should post a link. Let us see it if you like. It's always fun to see what people make during Ludum Dares, and I do have every intention of going through as many entries as I can during the judging to poke at it and see what people made, because some really cool stuff comes out during that. And I've actually seen a lot of Ludum Dare games get polished and rewritten and made into full products, which is really cool. Let's see here. Move to node, yada, yada, yada. Okay, here. For each, I think it's just player character. It's been a while, hasn't it, guys? For each. Yeah. Player character in player characters. Sweet. I'll definitely check it out in a moment. In fact, maybe I will finish this and then poke at it real quick, and we'll see what we think. Because like I said, it's fun to look at other people's Ludum Dare stuff. If the player characters, right now we have no real way of saying like what your mana count is, but we have a spell list. So for now I'm just going to go off the spell list. If there aren't any spells in your spell list, actually let's say if there are spells in your spell list, we're going to skip you. If there aren't, we do the following. We go to the person's UI root, and the UI root, remember, is this node that we have selected here. And it shouldn't be too hard to grab the mana bar and just turn it off from there. Transform, can't do that. Transform, find child. Child is the mana bar. And then we say game object, set active, false. Cool. So that'll turn them off for each person who just doesn't have any spells to cast. If you don't have spells to cast, why would you need a mana bar, right? It's too much extra information. The only thing I'm noticing is the fact that it didn't turn it off for the warrior and rogue. Makes me wonder what's going on here. For each player character. That seems like it should be working. I'm not doing any weird like player character insertion, so honestly this should yeah, so it does work. It is setting some of these to false, which means that someone else must be turning them back on, probably. And here we go. The mana bar is setting it based on what your maximum mana should be. Interesting. Okay, so instead of doing this here, we just need to repair that, the mana bar transform here. And instead of using maximum mana, oh, I see, this is inside the player character. Got it. Got it, got it, got it. Instead of using the maximum mana, we're just going to use the spell list. So, because at this point, I think they're on because everybody has a maximum mana that's above 0, because the way we calculate maximum mana is interesting. It's this, oh, it's a spell weaving skill, though. And not everyone has spell weaving. So technically, for a lot of people, this should be 0. Warrior, do you somehow... Did you, like, magically gain spell weaving as a skill that you are using? Because that seems bizarre. It wouldn't be the first time I've done something silly like this. But it definitely seems a little weird. Yeah, why do you have spell weaving? Stop it. You're a warrior. You don't get spell weaving. That's not how this works. Okay. Apply our changes to the party, and that should do the trick. He should have 0 now. There we go. Okay, back to a semblance of sanity. Love the beard? Why, thank you. Started trimming it now. For a long time, I always was clean shaven, and now this is kind of a new thing, and so I had to go get a beard trimmer. Actually, I had somebody get one for me because I have no experience with this whatsoever. So yeah, just taking care of this now. Love the username, though. Hamster spaceship thingy. Now I'm really curious what's going on here. Okay. We are going to start downloading that. Just for a moment. 12 megs, not bad. Okay. While we download that... So let's see, we've got the mana bars, we've got mana bars removed, we've got the weird, like, spell tab removed. I mean, they're all little things, but they all go towards the same end. We're looking to make something that looks a little cleaner and is a little less intimidating when we hand it to a player. So I can say, oh, hey, by the way, you made this kind of character, so we should introduce you to the interface or the inventory this way. It keeps things from getting too out of control. If you've ever seen games like Civ, can be a little crazy sometimes with all the UI going on. Europa Universalis is definitely a game that does not hold your hand whatsoever when it's talking about its UI, and it makes no effort to be friendly in any way. So you got to keep that stuff in mind. Horniest of Men and EGI TV, thank you very much for following. I do appreciate the support, guys. It's great. If you haven't done it yet, hit that little heart in the corner. And then my phone goes off, and that's cool. Because the other email is my mother asking me what I want for Christmas. But that's kind of cheating. Asking somebody what they want for Christmas. I don't know, where's the surprise? That's the excitement of it, right? How well do you know somebody that you get them a gift that they like or don't like? An IT career, how to avoid becoming a web developer? Yeah, you can't help it. I don't know. I'm doing web dev stuff right now, so I don't really have much room to talk. I can't say how to avoid it, because, well, guess what? I didn't avoid it. Let's add some character stats. That's the other thing I think I want to do here before looking in on this hamster Ludum Dare game, which I'm going to unpack over here. Alright, so stats. Specifically, stats people care about. Hey, greetings from Germany. Fantastic. Glad you could join us, EGI. I know my early hour does not exactly cater to a lot of American audiences, but that's fine. Try and take care of all of my viewers best that I can. So, nice big blank character sheet. A couple things that I want to make sure end up in here. I already have portraits on the outside, so I don't know if I want to do the portrait again, but part of me is tempted to put a portrait in here so that you can see what character is selected easily. Regardless, I still think, let's see, stats page, that I, at bare minimum, should put name in here somewhere. So I'm going to toss a large text object down, like larger than I normally handle, just for the sake of making sure that it is dead clear who we are talking about inside of this panel. And of course we have to make all the text match. Web dev is something that a lot of people self-teach, and so you'll find that a lot of people can get away with less in terms of having a degree in web dev versus for low-level C++ stuff, very, very few people will touch your resume unless you have the qualifications or if you have the the degree to go with it. That might be a little overkill, this thing that I just made. In fact, I think it is. So let's just add 64 to it, just so that it's got enough space that it can say, you know, some long character name. And I'm just going to let it overflow horizontally, just because if it overflows a bit, fine, whatever. We are going to limit character names to something probably along the lines of probably like 20 characters. It's nice to have an elf with a nice long elven name, but you don't want to go so overkill either, so I'm just going to keep that in mind. Maybe make it a little larger just so I can expect the size of this to have a border of some kind, because we always want the nice clean borders around our stuff. EGI is asking, is this my own font? No, it is not my own font. All the fonts I use, in fact, pretty much all the assets in the game are open source art or purchased art from somewhere. The font is open source, it's called Vink, and it's a really cool but still easily readable font that I picked up off of, it might have been Font Squirrel. I don't quite remember where I got this from, which is scary. It means I need to hunt down the licensing information before I get too far away from it, just in case I can't use it. So, okay, name, duh. So there's our character name, the easiest and most kind of handleable piece of information. And then from here, we're just going to kind of toss down a whole bunch of other things that need to get taken care of. For example, this does not need to be nearly that large, but we're going to have some stats that live over here. I'll kind of futz with I'll futz with some of this stuff later, but the big thing is let's get a lot of this in place, just so that we can see it, take care of it. And let's look at our stats real quick, because I know I need one of these for each of the stats. Oh, right. Stats are under character, not player character, because everybody has certain stats. So there's strength, and this will be our strength label. I know this is not the most exciting stuff in the world, but I don't really have time for more exciting stuff, unfortunately. Tomorrow we will definitely go a little further into something a little more interesting, looking at character creation, and maybe even start in on the UI and the work for it. The second one is our coordination label. And obviously needs to say coordination, otherwise it's a little silly of us. And we need these to all be the same size. It just makes it a little easier to take care of them that way. So there's our strength label, there's our coordination label. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right side align these, because if we ever want to do something like put stats next to them, which is kind of the next step, what we're going to need to be able to do is we're going to need to be able to have the stats be easily readable next to the name of the stat that it's attached to. Horniest of Men is asking, what do I think of Python? Python's fantastic. It's got some really cool stuff. I'm not sure I'd want to make a game in it, so to speak. Pygame is cool, but in terms of making games, I tend to like things with more in-depth engines, simply because I don't have the free time anymore to work on engines and do things like that on my own these days. I would definitely love to do something like that, but just time is really my biggest issue, which is kind of part of why I'm using Unity when there are other things that I know I might enjoy better. Let's see here. Whoops. Need to keep these somewhat sorted. There we go. Keep going. After knowledge, I believe. Let's see. After knowledge, reasoning. Right. You'd think I would know my own stats at this point, but it's just been long enough that I've been working with this that some of them have been kind of, well, should I keep it? Should I toss that? One thing I'm using Python for right now at work is I'm actually using it for web development stuff. Making a reactive web server is really cool, and doing web app development is awesome. The thing to keep in mind is that it's a very different ecosystem out there. Do I want to publish this game on Steam? Oh yeah, I would love to publish this game on Steam. There is little more that screams that you can get a job done than something sitting on a major publisher like Steam. The other thing to keep in mind, aside from how good that this might look on a resume, is just the fact that they are easily one of the best platforms when it comes to game development at the moment. And having your system inside of something that is easy to update, easy to control, lots of sales, lots of users, they have it all going for them. And I really don't blame people who feel a little miffed because there are no alternatives. You know, you go to something like Good Old Games, and that's not bad, but if your game only exists on Good Old Games, chances are you're not going to see a lot of revenue for it. And for something like a game where the amount of time you spend on the game is, you know, going to be probably somewhere in the hundreds of hours, right? If you think of the time I've spent on stream alone, I think we're now at video number 65 to 70. We're somewhere in that range. So I've at least spent 75-ish hours just online working on this game. That's not to mention probably the other 40 or 50 hours I've spent off stream working on things. So I'm already over the 100-hour barrier. I've hit that triple-digit point, and I'm nowhere near done, right? I'm still implementing basic UI for a lot of this stuff. So something to keep in mind is just how much time goes into making a game, and it can be difficult. And so you want to make sure that you kind of, if you're going to do something like put it on Steam, you want to make sure that your audience is as wide as possible. I mean, that's why most game publishers don't like to go single platform when you make a video game. You don't want to go Steam only. You don't want to do Xbox One only. You don't want to do a PS4 exclusive. You want to be all over the place. Learning Python in university, I want to learn Pygame. Pygame's pretty cool, I gotta say. I very much enjoyed using Pygame. It was a lot of fun to work on. And while like I said, I don't think I would want to try it for something like a big long-term project. I think it's fantastic for prototypes and having good-looking prototypes. I've seen some pretty in-depth stuff done with Python. So, yeah. Alright, so let's see. We've got all of our labels. They're taking up a lot of space, but I think that's not going to be the end of the world for us. We're going to toss all the stats down. The only thing that worries me right now is skills, right? My skill list isn't on the board anywhere, and I don't have any general summary stats either. So I need to think about where I'm going to put a lot of this stuff. Because honestly, at the moment, I feel like I almost need more room. Which means that I either need to add another page, or that I need to find a new way to handle some of the stuff in here. To kind of recompact it and fit it somewhere else. Also, composure looks way too low. In fact, a lot of these look really low. I'm just going to attach them to each other. See how that looks. It might get a little squished. But that might honestly give us the room we're looking for. And I'm going to put a very subtle thing here. I'm going to leave them in groups of 3 if I can. And what I'm planning to do, the reason I like the groups of 3, is it communicates to the player a little bit of what I'm trying to communicate with this kind of stat system. So your first 3 stats are all physical. Your next 3 stats are all mental. Your final 3 stats are all social. So I'm kind of trying to communicate, look, this is a very specific stat system. If you want to build a character a certain way, here is how you might do it. Any tips for a beginner in game development? Do things. To be more specific, pick a project that is simple, that you've been wanting to do. Recreate Pong, recreate asteroids, add your own twist to Breakout. Pick a game that's very, very simple. And then once you can complete that game, add something to it. Add the twist that makes it different or more interesting from what the original content was. And make sure that as you work on this project, you break it up into little tiny pieces and work on those little pieces one at a time. So, for example, my first game was essentially it was kind of a Lemmings knockoff. And so I started by, okay, I need a level. I need collision so that things can bump into each other. I need lemmings so that they can walk back and forth on platforms. I need to be able to issue commands to those lemmings, which means I now need to handle input. I did it one step at a time, and that allowed me to build up from having nothing to something that looked pretty impressive by the time it was done. It was impressive enough that I think, we got the overall best game for our class that year. And we did not have a small class. There were a lot of people to compete against. So it worked out well, and honestly, I'm still going to this day. So it's pretty cool. Alright, so I only have time for one more quick little bit of coding here. So I'm just going to quickly do what I can, finish up these stats kind of as best as possible. This one is not strength, this is coordination, and that's also 0. Endurance. Like I said at the start of the stream, unfortunately I have to cut today a little bit short. I've got a server deployment going out today, and I have to babysit that, make sure that everything goes smoothly and according to plan, all the scripts run well on AWS, and that nothing goes kind of crazy while I'm working on it. So it may not look like we got a lot done today, but we did get 2 little cleanup tasks done. And we also started in on this important character page. It's one of those things that you just kind of have to take care of eventually, is all this UI needs to get put into place. So it just kind of had to get done. What is the name of the game? Currently, it doesn't really have a name. I'm always afraid that if I put a name onto a game, that it's going to affect the game and its development as it goes. For now, I've got it marked as Hematite, but that's really just the name of the folder, and honestly, Hematite on its own is not a good name. It might turn into something. It might be Hematite Kingdoms. It might be, I don't know, Hematite Dungeons, something like that. It might get incorporated into the final name. It might not, honestly. I'm still kind of trying to figure out what I would like to call something like this. A lot of the more obvious names that I liked that were simpler have been taken, so I might have to think of something a little more bizarre or out of the ordinary in order to get this to kind of play nice, so to speak. So we'll see. It hasn't been named yet. It has definitely not been formally named yet. How long did it take me to be able to make a game myself rather than just follow tutorials? I am just following YouTube things, and I don't know how I'll ever be able to branch out from them. It took me a while, I'll be honest. It took me a long while. My first game took me the better part of a semester at school, and that was with somebody playing support with all the art. He was doing all the artwork, and he was a great support to have, and it kept me from having to worry about that kind of stuff. That said, he even coded a bit too, so it also took some of the load off there. I mean, once you start in on that first game, it goes faster and faster. There comes a point, I would probably say my second or third title, when I started to feel really good about what I could make and what I could get away with. How long? I'd probably say maybe a year, maybe less. Keep in mind that I was doing university at the same time, so I had classes and other crap going on, so it wasn't just, hey, I've got a job, I want to learn this in my free time. It was, I'm taking classes and doing other things, and there are distractions like parties and girls and classes and homework and finals. So all that stuff kind of kicks in at some point. So yeah, don't worry if it takes a little while. It does take some time to kind of get off the runway, but once you're going, it's pretty cool to be able to do whatever the frick you want in a game system. And especially with something like Unity, it's easier to pick up and be able to do more in a shorter period of time. Granted, I started in C and C++, but right now I'm not convinced that that's the best way to make a game. I'm honestly of the opinion that something like HTML5 is a great place to start, Pygame is a good place to start, Unity is a great place to start, XNA was a better place to start, but I'm not so sure about that anymore because of the way that its support has kind of been dropped, so maybe. But yeah. Alright guys, it is well past time. I do have to go take off and take care of this rollout. Lemony Fresh feels the pain, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you guys for hopping in today. I will put up last night's stream onto YouTube as well as this morning's stream so that you guys can keep up. The YouTube link below goes to, I believe, my profile, but there's a playlist with all the dev stream stuff here. So thank you very much for joining me. If you haven't done it and you're here and you like what I'm doing, hit that follow button in the lower corner so I have a nice little green heart every time you come online and see me. Holy heck, there are a lot of you online today. Thank you so much. I did not realize I had so many people sitting in chat while I sat here and jabbered away. 27! Holy heck! That is, I think, an all-time high for me for my morning streams. Thank you very much, and I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow. I do this Tuesday through Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, just in case you didn't know, in case you didn't see the note below about schedule. Otherwise, have a great game. Oh, the hamster game. Oh, do I have a moment? I think I have a moment. I have a moment to play a hamster game. Sure. I need to put some headphones on for this. Let's play us a hamster game. Oh, I get to name my hamster? That's awesome. That's freaking awesome. I like naming hamsters. Okay, I don't hear any sound either, so I'm going to assume that there isn't any. Hamster named Fred. No. We are going to name our hamster Emma Bolifer. They call her Emma for short. Welcome to Hamster X. Start by launching yourself at a booster. Left arrow and right arrow are the controls. Okay. By launching yourself at a booster. Oh, I see. Nope. Oh god. Left and right arrow? I'm definitely missing something about this. Okay. Let's try this again. Attach a booster. Okay, I have to hit the booster first. Got it. Choose a spot to attach the booster before time runs out. Okay, the fact that there is a... oh god. Oh god, this is terrifying. I didn't mean to, I'm so sorry. Okay, we can fix this, we just attach it there. Okay, I need to think about this a little more the next time. No, we can do this. Ow. I gotta say, okay, you guys have to hear these sound effects. This is amazing. Those of you who worked on this is fantastic. Okay. I need to, can I restart this? Okay, yes. This game is freaking amazing. Wow. Uh-oh, did I completely just whiff? I think I did. No, I did. I whiffed. Oh god, okay. How do I rotate them? Okay. Yes. Okay, right there. Oh lord. Okay, let's, yeah, that sounds... Okay. Oh lord. I picked up a shield. Oh cool, shields. Let's put the shield there. More shielding? Sure. I'm terrified of why I might, oh god, need shields. Okay. Okay. Oh god. Okay, it's okay, we didn't need that engine anyway, nor that one. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, that's not good. Not good. Not good. Alright guys, hamster game's friggin' awesome. I'm gonna show this to people at work. Because this is amazing. The aesthetic is great. The controls, while a little goofy, and I do wish I had a little more time with the placement of my engines. I love how frantic it is. So, I gotta say, very nicely done, guys. Alright guys, have a good day.